Hello, and thanks again for joining us for another Fathom Live, a live stream show dedicated to giving you tips and insights from experts in and around the real estate industry. I'm your host, Jeff Sturtz. Glad to be with you today. She's back. We have Jenn Herman with us today, your Instagram guru and blogger and expert and all kinds of other things. So Jenn, glad to have you today. We're going to be talking bio and hashtags and calls to action, all kinds of stuff today. So we're looking forward to getting into that in just a few minutes. But good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me back.
All right, before we jump in real quick, check out GoSocialAgent.com for your social media needs. Now, we're going to be talking about strategies and stuff today, but here's a great resource for you if you want to just get that kind of regular content on your social media feeds, as well as help getting your accounts set up. They'll do all kinds of stuff. They offer buyer and seller handbooks through Houseopedia that have your branding on it. They'll help set up campaigns for you as well, all to help you grow your online community and generate leads. Again, you can head over to GoSocialAgent.com to get started. Hit that notification bell if you don't mind. That way, when we go live, you can participate in the conversation. We already have a bunch of people watching on Facebook and YouTube. And shout out to Kaylin, Mayer, Wendy Holcomb, Alicia, Abdul, Sarai, Pallavi. I don't know if I said that name right, but guys, thank you so much for watching. And feel free during our show to interact with Jenn, with myself. I'll probably just point the questions right to her since she knows all the stuff. And if you missed last week's show, we had our last episode, I guess 2-3 weeks ago here, we had with Thomas Hubbard. Make sure you go check that out. Great show on customer service. All right, well that's it. Let's jump right into things. Jenn, now one of the things that we didn't do last time, and I've been negligent in this, is we usually have some sort of interesting fun fact, something to get to know our guest. And we already knew you were smart. But now I know that you're way smarter. So tell us why.
So I like that. I'm even smarter. So I actually have 2 science degrees. I have a bachelor's in biology, and then I have my master's in forensic science.
Okay, and she wasn't just voluntarily. What's that?
I say, people always laugh because I teach Instagram marketing, but I have all these degrees in science.
Yeah, no, we were talking earlier. Our in-house social media expert here at Fathom has like a rocket engineering degree, master's as well. So it just must be, there's some sort of, in the Venn diagram between the sciences and social media, there's some overlap. And it is a science, which is somewhat what we're going to be talking about today, that there are things that you just need to do that are going to, that are going to be surefire ways to help you move that needle along toward lead generation. But there you go. So instead of crime scene investigation, now you're trying to figure out how to, get people to click likes and
Exactly.
And then reach out to you and make money. So that's good. So let's jump right into it. And by the way, she didn't just volunteer that information, just to like tell me how smart she was. I asked her about this. So there you go. So last show we talked a lot about just content, the kind of pictures, that kind of stuff. Today we're going to be talking a lot more. I don't want to say technical stuff and scare everybody away. This is just really practical tips. So you can take this away and literally today be using it. So maybe starting with bios, your account profile bio, which seems sort of like irrelevant to this conversation, but it's not. So what is it and why is it important?
Yeah, so the Instagram bio is probably one of the most important components of your whole Instagram profile. So typically what happens is, we log on to Instagram and, we scroll through the feed or watch some stories, and you don't really go to a lot of people's profiles. So you don't think of the value of that profile. But if somebody finds you, whether it's through a search, whether someone, tagged you on someone else's comment or post, and you go and look at that person's profile, all these sorts of things, there's all these ways that you can get found in search. And you want to make sure that if someone finds you, that you are appealing to them in the best way possible. So we want that profile bio to really appeal to first-time visitors. It's important that it's set up to tell them who you are, what you do, and essentially what's in it for them. Why would they care to follow you? Why would they care to work with you? Are they going to get, a certain value out of it? Is there a coupon code they can get? Is there, a link to your bio to purchase or move through a process or anything? So it's really important to think about that bio, which is Only 150 characters, so it's not a lot of
Right.
space. But to be able to put that key information up there for those first time visitors, that's going to help you grow the followers and ultimately drive website traffic in the long run. But yes, it's actually an incredibly important part to really build your Instagram presence.
Okay, so for you note takers out there, and you should write this down, you're gonna do it's who you are, what you do, and what's in it for the person visiting your bio. Those
Yeah.
three things, and you're saying we can put your own website link in there, so you can
Yes, so
kind of
there's
drive
only
people.
one link available on Instagram for the most part, and that is the link in the bio. So this is for business and or creator profiles. You can't do this on a personal profile, and you
Ah, okay.
should not be using a personal profile. You should be using a business or creator. Quick myth disruption. There's no negative impact. You're not penalized for being a business profile on Instagram like you are on Facebook. So yeah, you only have that one link, and it's really important that you set that up for driving traffic. One of the things a lot of people do, and they just put their homepage on there, right, to their first page of their website. The problem with that is that because Instagram doesn't really allow link dropping or links anywhere else, if you just send somebody to your homepage and they're looking for your blog, or they're looking for, your opt into your newsletter, or they're looking for all your listings of properties you have available, or whatever it is, if they go to your homepage, they're like, it's overwhelmed, right? It's more searching they have to do, and they're less likely to follow through with that transaction. So you actually want to create, either you can use tools like Linktree, or there's like Link in Bio. There's a lot of third-party tools. I actually recommend you just recreate that on your own website. Create a dedicated landing page on your website. And if you go to my account, which is JENNS_trends, you can click my link in bio and see, mine is by no means great or perfect, but you can kind of see where I have about
Yeah.
6 options available. You tap on any of those and it takes you to that very specific page within my website, which allows me to get people to go exactly where I want them to go.
Gotcha. So you can put multiple links, you're saying, in your bio?
It's one link, but you're
Okay.
putting it to a landing
I
page
got you. I
that
got
would
you. All right.
then
All right.
have,
I thought you were saying that at first, and then okay, got confused. All right.
yeah,
So yeah, unless your homepage is a lead funnel page, which some people
right.
set it up that way, where you either have a pop up or something that makes you fill something out, or right away you've got a form with calls to action, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Then find some sort of squeeze page to get them in to get their information, and keep that that two-way relationship going there. Um, and as far as this is my brain's doing something here. So I noticed, I looked down, Yvette Ruiz is watching right now. At least she was a few minutes ago when she gave us a shout out. Yvette has watched several shows, and I think has been a live show winner before, but her name popped up when we did kind of a random selection here, and you win today, Yvette. You win another prize for watching the show, for our drawing. So if you are watching right now, make sure you give a shout out. Ask questions. If you ask a question and it gets used on the show, we actually enter you into the drawing 5 times, which increases your likelihood of getting it. So you can get yard signs, you can get Go Social lead service, or you can get a photo listing package, all up to $200 worth of stuff each. So yeah, anyways, I just thought I would throw that out there. So if our viewers are watching, give us your name, or just make a comment, and we'll automatically add you to that. So bios, who you are, what you do, and what's in it for me. And just as an example of that, then, so real estate agents are pretty hyper local. I mean, not that they couldn't do like a big metroplex or anything like that. Am I wanting to say, hey, Jeff Sturtz, realtor in the Collin County, Wiley, like put those kind of keywords into my bio where I live? Is that kind of what I'm thinking?
Yeah, so there's a couple things to keep in mind with that. I mean, like you said, most real estate professionals are working in a relatively small space, right? Whether
Right.
it's a very specific community or even up to a city size, but it's usually a relatively small space. I would highly recommend you put that geographical location in your name field. So your username is the @ symbol followed by your username. In my case, @Jenns_trends is my username. If you go to my profile, it says Jenn Herman Instagram expert as the name field. Now, the name and the username are the two primary search criteria that Instagram looks at if someone
Gotcha.
goes to Instagram and is looking for something. So if someone is looking for something in a specific geographical area, you want that geographical name to be in the name of the username. So for example, I
Gotcha.
live in San Diego. If I was a realtor here, I would want to put San Diego or pick the specific area within San Diego that I serve. So there's all these sub communities and little cities within San Diego. So that's something that you would want to put in the name field for searchability. But then, yes, you'd also want to put that within the bio, maybe getting more specific in terms of the actual communities you serve, something to that effect. So that's what you do, right? You are a real estate
Right.
professional in X community,
Right.
in Y city,
Right.
whatever it is. But then you also want to add in some of the who you are is going to be not because your whole bio should not be, it's not a resume. Okay. We don't want it to be this laundry list of, award winning, sold 3
Have all
million,
these, accolades and
dollar homes.
designations and
Like
stuff. Yeah.
we want it to be personal because it's a personal connection on Instagram. They're connecting with you as an individual. So mentioning your hobbies, are you a parent? Are you are you born and raised in that city or that location?
Right.
Like, what is it about you that makes you unique? Do you bungee jump for fun? You
Right.
could put
Right.
bungee jumper in your bio. We want to have
Right.
that personalization to it.
Cool. Um, so then, and by the way, I can hear some people objecting, maybe saying like, I don't want to limit it to just my area. I'm so desperate for leads, and I would
Mhm,
rather just say San Diego.
mhm.
What would you say to that?
Go for it. It's
Go for it.
honestly, your industry, the situation best. I have a client of mine who lives in Texas, but she is a relocation specialist.
Gotcha.
Most of her clients actually come from California
Gotcha.
going to Texas, right?
Imagine
So
that.
she puts that in her bio description, but in terms of a geographical term, she doesn't use really either one because she's not specific to either
Right.
one, and it's
Right.
not like it's just one area of California.
Okay.
So you can do it however best suits your audience and what you think people are looking for when looking for someone like you.
Right. 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 So if they're not, if people aren't just searching for Dallas Fort Worth homes or San Diego homes or a realtor, don't put that in there. Put where you're at, and you'll serve yourself better than just casting such a wide net.
Yes.
Now, kind of moving on then. Captions, as far as we talked a lot about what you want to put in a photo. What about what I say about it in the caption area? Do you have some direction for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I always tell people, photos and the visual component of Instagram, that's what it's based on, right? That's why people go to the platform. And that
Right.
gets people's attention, right? Scrolling through the feed, they see a photo they like, they stop and watch a video. That gets their attention. But captions are where you make conversions. So, most people are not going to navigate to your profile and sign up for your email list based on a photo, maybe a video if there's a call to action or something of value in there. But for the most part, that visual in and of itself is not going to drive your result. That's where the captions come into play. So a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, you'll notice if you're scrolling through Instagram, you'll see the visual component and then you see username, 2 lines of text, ... more. So
Right.
it gets truncated, it gets cut off. If someone doesn't click ... more, they do not read your caption. So we want to make sure that first sentence in your caption is an attention getter. You can use emojis, you can use capital letters, you can ask a question, you can make a bold statement, say something quirky or almost, kind of a cliffhanger. Think like blog post title or email subject header kind of thing. Something that's going to intrigue people enough to be like, huh? I want to know more. And they click ... more. And now they're reading your caption because we want the caption to
Right.
take the story that much further, get their attention in the photo. Caption tells the story, tells the background. Maybe it's actually outlining the details of the home, telling you when the open house is available, telling you how to make a reservation for, a showing. But they'll never see that if they don't click the ... more. So we want that really good powerful sentence to
Right.
first grab their attention.
Cool. So like, I hate this kitchen, ... because it's not my own, something like that, that's
Right?
real
Exactly.
awful clickbait kind of stuff. But you can do that if you want to.
Right?
So it isn't necessarily that you don't want to have a long caption, right? I mean, like you're saying, I could fill it with a whole ton of details if I want to. I mean, is there a limit, or like,
Yeah, and this is one of those, like, I can never give the best answer to this question because it really depends on so many criteria.
Right.
Most people on Instagram are not there to read a novel. So most people prefer shorter captions. 1 to 3 short paragraphs is usually going to be an ideal range. Typically, if you've got the photo and you scroll up, if your caption extends beyond the length of the screen, it's probably too long. Now, that being said, I max out my characters all the time, but I've started using Instagram as a microblog, and my audience expects that, and they
Gotcha.
appreciate it. So it's okay for me, and I don't do it on every post, right? But
Right.
and you have 2,200 characters as your max limit, not words, 2,200 characters. But so normally I'm not going to recommend you go that long. 1 to 3 short paragraphs is usually going to be ideal, but put as much in there that you need to as value. If you can do it in 2 paragraphs, great. If you need 4, that's fine too, as long as it's all value add and it's there for a reason.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So that first 2 sentences are key, and then just make sure everything else is stuff that you'd want to read.
Yeah.
That, not just fluff garbage, because then
And I
people
always
learn to
tell
ignore you.
people, especially in the real estate space, try to, try to tell things more in a story method, right? So we're often very conditioned especially in the real estate space, bullet point, right? You're like, 3-bedroom house, 4-bath,
Right.
cul-de-sac, large yard. That's not selling anybody on Instagram, I promise you. If instead you said something like, wouldn't you love to walk into this beautiful 3-bedroom home with a massive yard overlooking the canyon? Now it's like you're getting a visual component, right? So don't list it. It's okay to have some bullet point details in there, but when you're writing these captions for Instagram, think more of the storyteller components. Think more about how can you convey an emotion and a feeling that makes people want to walk into that home.
So you said that you can't put links in your caption, correct?
Captions. Correct.
No, it's just straight up text. So
Yep.
if I want somebody to take some sort of action, and if you're not, and just for the viewers, if you're not familiar, there's a term in marketing called CTA, or calls to action. Maybe we can just talk generally what that is. So how do I make that happen if I don't have a website? First of all,
Yeah.
what is a call to action?
So the call to action is literally a call to take an action.
Right.
It can be something as simple as tag a friend below. That's asking them to take an action. It can be call me to make a reservation. That is a call to an action. Or the most common one on Instagram is click the link in my bio. So that is the most common CTA that you will hear or see on Instagram because you have that one clickable link in your bio. So because you can't put a link in the caption, you typically say, see link in bio, click link in bio, go to my link in bio, some version of that.
Gotcha.
And so you'll have whatever your caption is. Let's say you've got an open house coming up. So you give the fun, exciting details, talking about, the property, list a couple details about when, where, that sort of thing. And then your call to action would be to book a showing, click the link in my bio. Or you could say something along the lines of, join us on, Saturday between noon and 3 p.m. So even just saying join us or come by, that is a call to action. You're asking them to do something of action.
Right.
Or it could be the click in the link in bio if you wanted them to book a reservation for a showing, any of those sorts of things. So that link in bio is how you're getting people to your website. That is going to be, like I said, the most common call to action that you will see on Instagram. And that's why, again, it's really important to have a good landing page or a good destination, because if they scroll through the feed, they see your photo or video, that caught their attention. Now they click ... more, they actually read your caption. Now they see a call to action, they go, okay, I'm going to follow through. Now they have to click on your profile photo. Now they're on your profile. The last thing we want to do after they've taken all of these intentional steps is send them to a rabbit hole of confusion.
Right.
And you're like, I got them this close. And then you lost.
Right.
So having that dedicated landing page gives them the chance to say, oh, okay, reserve, showing listing. Click
Very
on that
good.
button.
Yeah.
Now they're on that form page. They're filling it out. Boom, transaction complete.
Right. Right. And a good rule of thumb too is send it to a friend and say, does this make sense? Or a family member, like, because like, what you're supposed to do because you created it. I mean, but
Yeah.
time and time again, I mean, you see this across, even, bigger companies, there's sometimes that failure to see where you start and where you end. And if there's any point of failure along those, 6 possibilities, goodbye lead. I mean, they've fallen off the cliff. So yeah. And just also, so just putting marketing hat on here, always, 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 viewers, put a call to action on your marketing stuff. Always, always, always. It seems so simple. Like if I just put my phone number on something, you would think people would go, oh yeah, that makes sense to call. It doesn't. You have to put call me at ... Now you've taken brain calories off of, my mental workout, and I just have to just do what you just told me to do. And so now with that though, should I ever put my phone number on there and just say, hey, you want to see this? Give me a call at blah, blah.
Yeah.
Can I do that in my caption? And is that a good idea?
Yeah, absolutely. If that's your goal is to have somebody call you, you can put that in the caption. You could even say, call me at, da da da, or click the contact button on my profile, because you can set up your contact buttons on your profile to allow call, text, email, and directions.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go.
So you could even have that, and that way they don't have to like try to remember the number. They just go to the contact button, choose call, and it will automatically open the phone app on the phone and allow them to call you. So yes, you can absolutely use that, as your action as well.
All right. Hey, well, I've only got a couple more things here to talk about, but if you're watching and you want to ask Jenn a question, I mean, she's standing by here, so so feel free to jump in the conversation. Yeah, let's mix things up. So kind of moving on then, hashtags, I think we may have touched on it a little bit before, and I know if you go back and watch Julie's episode, we talked a little bit about hashtag strategy, but real quick, what are they and why do I use them? I mean, a lot of times people use them in a humorous sense, like hashtag crazy day at the office or hashtag, mom of 3 or whatever. And they're not really actually using them as a way to index, what groups or feeds they're a part of. They're just kind of making a joke with it. But from a lead gen standpoint, what are hashtags and what do you use them for?
Yeah, so in terms of Instagram, hashtags are pretty much vital to success. It's probably single-handedly the best and most significant way to get new people seeing your content. Location tags work, yes, and search criteria works, and all these other things are at play, but hashtags are probably the single best means to reach new people without having to actively track down those new users. So what you want to do is add a series of hashtags to all of your posts. All of your posts should always have hashtags on them, and you can use up to 30 hashtags. Now, people think that's overwhelming and it's crazy, but it's Instagram. It is not overwhelming and it's not crazy. It's actually expected. So if someone told you only use 2 or only use 5, the thing with hashtags is if you don't use them, you don't show up in search. So if you only use 2 hashtags, you're only showing up in those 2 searches. If you use 22 hashtags, you're potentially showing up in 22 searches.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the latter because it's more chance for more exposure.
Right.
So the key is to use the right combination of hashtags. So first of all, we want to use a combination of popularity. I typically don't recommend using hashtags with more than 1 million posts associated with them. So if you go to Instagram and you look at a hashtag, it will tell you how many posts are associated with that hashtag. So you are not going to use hashtag real estate because that has about 8 gazillion posts associated with it. And no one is looking at hashtag real estate that is actually looking for real estate. They're going to look for real estate city name, right? Or city name real estate. So hashtag San Diego real estate, possibly. They're not going to look at just real estate, which is a global terminology, right?
Right.
So You want to get more specific in terms of that, think about things with the geographical terminology in there. You also want to look at things that are related more so to what people are doing on Instagram. So, for example, most people probably aren't actually going to Instagram to find properties for sale, right? They're going to
Right.
go to MLS listings, they're going to go to
Right.
Zillow, they're
Right.
going to go
Right.
to Redfin, they're going to, go other places. But what people are doing on Instagram is searching for inspiration on things like hashtag dream kitchen or hashtag, bathroom goals or any of those sorts of things. So if you have a beautiful property that has an amazing chef's kitchen, you could use hashtags related to chef's kitchen and dream kitchen and, kitchen goals or any of those sorts of things that is more likely to appeal to what people are doing on Instagram, that they're actually going to see that property. Not saying they're necessarily going to come buy it, but you're more likely to get in front of the right
Right.
audience and at least start to expand that growth in that way.
Very good. Thank you. I think that, I mean, that covers enough to kind of like give people a place to go and a to-do list to do. And by the way, if you want more in-depth content, viewers, jenstrends.com is where you're going to want to go. And, we're early enough in the month of April that you could say, hey, by the end of April, I'm going to take one of Jen's courses and I'm going to learn a lot of stuff about Instagram to help me lead Jenn and become a figure on that platform. So go to jenstrends.com. Make sure you do it. Do it just to help her out and say thank you for being our guest today. But then go the next step and educate yourself and take one of her courses. So okay, use a bunch of hashtags. Make sure that they're relevant to what people are searching for and local. And don't be afraid to use a bunch of them. So very good. So the last thing I want to talk about is stories. Stories. We see them on Facebook. We see them on Instagram. So they seem to be, at least from my perspective, and I'm sort of your probably average lay Facebook user. I don't like do a ton on there, but I see that people are using stories more and more and more. So what are they, and how can they be used in a business standpoint? From a business standpoint.
Yeah. So Instagram stories in general, and just like stories on pretty much every other platform as well, are 24-hour short form vertical content. So they're either photos or videos. They're shot in the vertical 9:16 format, and you upload them. They last for 24 hours and then they go away. So it's not content that lives on your profile forever. Although we can get complicated and say you could actually turn them into highlights and then they can be archived and actually live on your profile. But the average story in and of itself disappears after 24 hours. So a lot of people are like, why would I create content that's going to disappear?
It's a lot of work, right?
24 hours later. So you really have to think about the value for you in terms of, that return of your time and the investment of resources into creating it. But in general, and the reason why we're seeing stories be so popular across most platforms is that typically stories have a greater recall rate than most other content. And it's because when you're consuming short form content, your brain is so laser focused on that image and reading those couple pieces of text or watching that video, because it's going to flip like that. A photo lasts 6 seconds on Instagram in a story, and a video is up to 15 seconds. So you are hyper focused. You're not glancing away from the screen. You're not listening to something in the background. You're not mindlessly scrolling. So you actually are giving better attention to that content, meaning you're more likely to remember it. You're more likely to, pursue something as a result. So most people, not everybody, most people tend to see better conversions from Instagram stories because they have that better attention span. So you have to weigh this out. You can't just do one story and be like, oh, didn't work for me, I'm not going to do it ever again. You want to test this over a period of about 4 to 6 weeks with regular content. Some things you can think about are going to be, do a quick walkthrough of a home. So if you know you're going to have a showing or an open house on the weekend, go out prior, take some photos and or videos walking through, the main entrance, walking through the backyard, walking through the kitchen, maybe the master, and maybe a living space or something, and a family room, game room, something like that. Create all this little short form content, put that up 24 hours before the open house. So now you put it up right before the open house. Anybody who's looking at that is now like, oh, that looks amazing. I want to go see that property. Oh, look at that. The open house is tomorrow at noon. So you're setting it up as a means to tease something in another way. It's also great for just showcasing a bit more about your personality, because typically what we show on Instagram is very polished, very professional, and it can be really, I don't say corporate, but very, professional kind of things. When you get on Instagram stories, we kind of let our hair down, right?
Right.
We show a little more of our personality. We show our lifestyle, our family, our kids, any of those sorts of things. People can hear your voice in the videos, and it builds a better trust factor, even if you're just showcasing, what you did on that weekend, or what you're doing to celebrate a holiday, any of those sorts of things.
Speaking of personal life, is that your little one in the background?
That is my little one. She just walked away from the desk.
She's being so well behaved.
This is actually not well behaved. She's about to get like the death glare from mom, because usually she's like not even in here. She knows, like, don't interrupt.
Oh,
mom.
are you? No.
And I'm like,
no.
No, you don't.
Give her a pass today. She's being so quiet. She's being so stealthy about it, and so there you go. That's adorable. So Brittany asked, is posting hashtags in the first comment of your own post instead of the caption more or less effective?
So great question. And this is the question that I could retire on if I was paid every time I answered this question. So here's the thing. It honestly does not matter. From an algorithmic perspective on Instagram, the algorithm doesn't care. You don't get better performance one way or the other. Your audience honestly doesn't care. It's only us as marketers and people creating the content who ever really seem to worry about this. But that being said, there's two caveats that do have an impact on performance. So one is if you're using super popular hashtags, and those are the ones with well over 1 million posts associated with them, you want to leave those in the original caption. Even a 15 or 30-second delay in the time it takes you to put those in a comment can lose incredibly valuable time and almost render them useless if you're using popular hashtags, which I just told you not to do. But if you want to use them, just keep that in mind. And the other caveat is that if you have an audience that relies on like screen readers and accessible technology, having hashtags in the caption can be a huge distraction, because now the screen reader has to read the entire caption, including all of those hashtags. And for most hashtags, it's reading each and every character, because it doesn't recognize words, right? So it's going to read all of your hashtags. So the screen reader is basically locked on your post for the next 3 minutes. And that's just annoying. So in that sense, it can be beneficial to put them in the comments.
Gotcha.
But other than that, it honestly doesn't matter.
Awesome. Well, thank you for answering that. Any other last bits of advice here? This has been fantastic. I mean, there's so many takeaways people can go and use right now on their Instagram account. But anything else you want to share to close this out?
I would just kind of remind people to have fun. It's one of the things I always tell people is make sure you're having fun on Instagram. It is not meant to be a professional platform, even though we use it in a professional capacity.
Right.
So showcasing more of the personal side of your life, showcasing, things that are fun about pieces of property and less so about the marketing component can always make it better. And as you mentioned, I do have a course, Instagram for Real Estate, which is a whole course dedicated just to all of you as realtors. And it walks through in, 6 hours of content, pretty much everything you need to know about all things Instagram from start to finish, that you can start using it effectively. And that's a really, really good resource for you if you want to check that out.
Okay, do it, folks. Go over to jenstrends.com and check that out. Jenn, thank you so much for doing this. We're doing this twice and giving us a wealth of information. If you missed our last episode, you can find it over on fathomcareers.com. If you look at our Fathom Live library or our new Fathom Life blog, you can sort by our Fathom Live show and find it there as well. Jenn, we'll let you go, and be easy on the kid. So just for what that's worth. But anyways, thanks for coming on the show. If you're still watching, do head over to fathomcareers.com if you haven't been over there yet, and check us out. See what we're all about over there. We recently are into another state in the union, and continue to grow our markets as well. But we are a company that works for you rather than the other way around, giving the tools and the technology and the service that you need for your success. FathomCareers.com. And we've got some great guests coming up. Now, our next guest is David Knox, a real estate expert that's been in the business for a very long time and has offered tons of advice. And so you'll want to take notes with him. He'll speak very fast, and he'll give you a ton of stuff. So he's going to be on here, not next week, but in 2 weeks. And then we have a couple of agents. We have Aziz Shabazz as well as Coley Bailey coming on in May. So looking forward to having them. And we'll see you next time.